Joe, an average guy with a special talent, could travel anywhere in his mind. It started when a mysterious package arrived on his doorstep. It contained an old book titled The Mind Traveler's Guide. So one day, Joe decided to give it a try. He closed his eyes and focused until suddenly he found himself in a baseball game. But the stands were empty, the scoreboard blank, and the place had an eerie feeling. "Batter up," he heard from out of nowhere. So Joe stepped up to the batter's box. As he did, a pitcher appeared at the mound and threw a slow pitch. Joe hit the ball and sent it flying. Not bad, he thought, a mind-traveling homer. As he rounded the bases, he saw a mysterious figure watching him. But before he could see clearly, everything faded and Joe was back in his recliner, wondering who the mysterious spectator was. Ready for another adventure, Joe closed his eyes and focused. This time he found himself on stage in the middle of a Shakespeare play. The audience was packed. He was surrounded by actors. "Great, I'm in a play," he muttered, when an actor grabbed his arm and whispered, your lines, to be or not to be." Joe stammered, to be or not to be, that's the question, right?" The audience gasped. The actors were bewildered. Joe stumbled along, making up lines with hilarious results. The audience enjoyed, so Joe went with it. He turned Hamlet's speech into a comedy routine. As he finished, the mystery figure from the baseball field appeared in the back of the theater and nodded approvingly. Joe's heart raced. "Who are you?" Before he could find out, the scene dissolved and Joe was back in his recliner, wondering who is she, yet laughing at his mind travel acting. For his next adventure, Joe imagined himself on a bicycle ride. He opened his eyes to find himself pedaling through a quaint, picturesque park. The sun was shining, birds singing, and everything seemed perfect. "Ah, a peaceful ride," he sighed. As he rode along, he saw strange signs pointing in different directions. Turn left for mystery, turn ahead for the unknown, and right for the unexpected. Intrigued, Joe went for mystery. The narrow path led him to an opening where he saw the mysterious figure from his previous adventures. The person was riding away on a bicycle. "Hey, who are you?" Joe called out, pedaling faster to catch up. The figure looked back and smiled, then sped away, leading Joe on a wild chase. As Joe was about to catch up, the figure disappeared around a tree, and when Joe reached the tree, he found himself back in his recliner again. He laughed, breathless from the chase. This mind travel was a game of cat and mouse. Joe was excited for his next mind travel trip. He decided on a farmer's market where he was surrounded by colorful stalls, the smell of fresh produce, and the chatter of vendors and customers. "Nice," Joe thought, grabbing an apple from a nearby stand. As he bit into it, he heard a familiar voice. "Enjoying the market?" It was the mysterious figure, now disguised as a vendor. The figure handed Joe a basket filled with odd-looking vegetables. "What's with the mystery veggies?" Joe asked, eyeing a purple carrot. "Solve the riddle, and you'll understand," the vendor explained. Joe found that each vegetable had a message and soon realized they were clues. He followed the clues to another vendor with a message. "Meet me at the mountaintop." Before he could ask any questions, Joe was back in his recliner, clutching an apple and thinking, those vendors were tricky. Determined to solve the mystery, Joe closed his eyes and focused on a snowy mountaintop. He found himself standing on the peak, shivering in a thick parka. The mysterious figure was waiting for him, dressed in a similar parka. "You made it," the figure said, pulling down their hood to reveal Miss Jenkins, his next-door neighbor. "Miss Jenkins!" Joe proclaimed in surprise. She laughed. "It is. I've been mind-traveling for years and thought you might enjoy some adventure and mystery." Joe shook his head. "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Where's the fun in that?" Miss Jenkins replied. They stood together looking out at the breathtaking view when Joe asked, "So what's next?" "Next," she replied, "I'll teach you how to control your travels. But first, a snowball fight." They laughed and began pelting each other with snowballs, the mountain echoing with their laughter. Mind travel, where even your neighbors are full of surprises, Joe thought, feeling more alive than ever.